Joined once again by Romy. We're here on the desk together once again. Do you think we're going to have another exciting game?
I definitely think we are. I think both of these players have actually done really well before, so I'm really excited to see how this game is going to go.
Exactly. We have got Jonas Wiegel actually playing, who is currently 5-0. If he wins this game, he is going to be in top cut for tomorrow.
Yeah, that would be really, really great. Just now, go for that 6-0. Just be done.
Exactly. And we have Aubert as well as opponent who is 4-1. So he's got the interesting pairing match here. But we're not going to leave you waiting any longer. We're going to be jumping into this game as soon as possible. The players are seated. The judge is there. We're just waiting for the go-ahead from the team saying that they can all jump into the game. But it's going to be interesting. Okay, sorry. We just heard through from our tech team. Apparently the capture card 3DS is playing up a little bit. It's not been our best friend today, but that just gives us more time with myself and Romy. Poor Romy, you're always here when things go wrong with the 3DS, aren't you?
Yeah, I think it's just me. I think it's just a little bit bad luck or something.
It's because you're not here watching over it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what we can do in the meantime is just have a little look over their teams. One thing that really strikes me about both these teams is the Hitmon top.
Ooh, that's something that's really interesting. Because of course has that intimidate ability, which of course is really, really strong.
So the Hitmon top's on actually both teams. So like we were saying, you've got the Intimidate ability, you've got Fake Out, Wide Guard. It's a great support Pokemon.
Definitely. It also gets moved like Wide Guard and Feint, and it's something like, because Protect is such a good move in a doubles format, something like Feint just to break through the Protect and maybe just attack with something that's really strong and really fast, and you can just get a really easy KO.
Exactly. It's one of those Pokemon we've seen so many times across different formats, and we are going to be able to see it in action, hopefully. At the very least, it's going to be here in Team Preview. Romy, let's take a look at those teams.
Yeah, we actually see Nathan going for Xerneas, Lunala, Hitmontop, Incineroar, Taka, and Serena. I'm really excited to see Lunala here. And on Jonas' side, we have Kyogre, Duskmane, Necrozma, Incineroar, Ludicolo, Tapu Koko, and also Hitmontop.
Yeah, so we've already mentioned those Hitmontops, but like you mentioned, Romy, that Lunala is a really interesting Pokemon. If you're doing a little bit of practice, we've seen sort of choice specs being a popular choice on there as the item, but we'll have to see which one that Aubert is going to be going for. But such an interesting Pokemon, one of the sort of Alolan legendaries that has come out. It's nice to be able to see it finally in a VGC format. But if you're taking a little bit of a look at Jonas' team, he is running that classic combination of Kyogre and Ludicolo, the Swift Swim ability user that absolutely loves to be in the rain, really speedy, got Grass Knot, Ice Beam, and also Fake Out.
Yeah, definitely. Ludicolo is definitely something you have to consider because it's so fast because of that Swift Swim. It just can get an attack off. And we actually see it a lot of times paired with something like Scarf Kyogre. So you can just go for attacks really quick and just take a lot of knockout because you pressure so many Pokemons in this format with it.
Exactly, and Jonas as well, he's loving Fake Out. He's got Hitmontop, Incineroar, and that Ludicolo, all that can pack Fake Out. So he has to be aware of, on Aubert's side, that Serena, with its Queenly Majesty ability, it's going to be able to stop any Fake Outs coming not only on it, but also on its partner Pokemon, which is why I love that ability so much.
It's definitely a really, really good ability here. So I definitely see Nathan bringing it here because this Jonas has 3 Fake Out users. I'm really sure it's actually going to make an appearance.
Yes, definitely. Even if you have it in the back, you can just switch it in if you see that your opponent has led Fake Out and be able to stop that from going off and getting your partner Pokemon to maybe utilize the move a little bit better. But Hitmontop's going to be jumping out for us paired up with Lunala.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see the Hitmontop here. And on Jonas' side, we actually see the Tapu Koko and Incineroar Elite that we saw so much in VGC 18.
Exactly. It's one of those classic combinations again. The electric terrain is going to surge all around and Intimidates are going to come out left, right, and center. The Intimidate on Hitmontop going off first, though.
Yeah, that's really good, meaning that this Hitmontop is going to be faster than the Incineroar. And since Lunala isn't Ghost type, it can't actually be faked out here.
Exactly. So the Lunala being really well protected here. It does still have to worry about taking some maybe knockoff damage from that Incineroar if it's able to get that off against it. But Hitmontop might have something to say about it going for a Fake Out into the Incineroar, stopping it from getting that move off.
Yeah, definitely. I think, Incineroar is definitely a really big threat for Lunala, even though it usually can leave one knockoff when it's full health because, of course, it's Shadow Shield ability.
Yeah, we'll stop it taking that super effective damage straight away. It's got that little bit of a boost, and you never want to get your Shadow Shield broken unnecessarily either. Hitmontop going to go for the Fake Out, though.
Yeah, and Incineroar, I think is just a really safe play here. And we do actually see Tapu Koko for a Dazzling Gleam into this Hitmontop.
Does a huge amount of damage to that Hitmontop.
Yeah, we are actually going to see an eject button here activate, switching out that Hitmontop.
Yeah, one of those items that's quite common on Hitmontop. It likes to come back in with Intimidate and Fake Out. You know, it's a little bit like Incineroar in that sense. But Incineroar likes its berries and its Assault Vest, whereas Hitmontop, if it has eject button, it can switch out. You can bring it in later on in the game if you need to get Intimidate off against another opponent. Looking at Jonas's team, he has quite a lot of special attackers on there, but if you can maybe get it off against the Necrozma or the Incineroar again, you're going to really be able to negate some of the damage here. But Nathan's really taking his time about which Pokemon he's going to bring in from the back, and it's going to be that Serena.
Yeah, we are actually going to see the Serena make an appearance. I think it's a really, really good one, because both just because of its ability, and we do actually see Lunala going for a Moongeist Beam here.
Yeah, such a powerful attack, and another one that's got a beautiful animation. Going to go straight into that Tapu Koko, does a huge amount of damage, and does pick up the KO. This could be an item boosting Lunala.
Yeah, definitely. This probably is a choice spec Lunala, which you've actually seen a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely been a really popular item. Not only is it like, you know, the special attacker, so it can't be intimidated, having that extra boost as well makes it so strong. And with the Shadow Shield ability, you can survive an attack and still get off a really powerful one in return. Even if you maybe want to set up Tailwind on your side of the field, then your Lunala, if left untouched, can really start going through your team.
Yeah, definitely. Also, because choice spec, you have a lot of, you have of course like 4 moves, which means that a lot of coverage moves. We've actually also seen it run something like Focus Blast before. Not something you maybe want to go for, but it's definitely really good if you come into like that end game scenario where it isn't Lunala versus an Incineroar.
Well, it's going to be the Necrozma there for Jonas. You could see him taking his time again about which Pokemon he wants to bring in the back. We have yet to see his 4th Pokemon. And if it was something like maybe the Kyogre, you don't want to bring that in against the Serena. It can go for some really powerful grass-type attacks into it. But the Necrozma here, interesting Pokemon. It can do some good sort of just physical damage to both of these ones here, but it has to worry about taking that Moongeist Beam.
Yeah, definitely. This Moongeist Beam is special because we assume that it's actually specs here. Is maybe even able to like do 90 or maybe even KO depending on like how this Necrozma is built.
Yeah, we'll have to see a little bit more like with the damage calcs to see what happens. And particularly if it's something like a weakness policy Necrozma, that's something you don't necessarily want to activate.
Definitely not. I think this is like one of the things that's kind of like, because knockoff is so good here, like it's so good that actually weakness policy still activates when you get knocked off.
But it's just going to go for the Protect, and I was about to say save itself from this Moongeist Beam, but it looks like this is going into the Incineroar. Good Protect, though, from Jonas, because it now leaves his Incineroar able to maybe fire off a knockoff against that Lunala. It's had its Shadow Shield broken by the Dazzling Gleam previously, so it will still be dealing good damage, but it's not going to get a chance as that high jump kick, not only connected, does pick up the KO against Incineroar.
Yeah, that's a really, really good turn for Nathan here. Like, he got rid of Tapu Koko last turn, and now he got rid of the Incineroar, just reading that Protect on the Necrozma.
Exactly, that high jump kick could have potentially gone into the Necrozma. You know, it is Steel type, it's got Psycho type as well, but still, it wouldn't be a bad move choice coming out from that Serena, but definitely the Pokemon to target into. And as we were sort of saying earlier, when Jonas was forced to bring in a Pokemon from the back, he maybe didn't want to bring in the Kyogre against Serena either, and that's unfortunately what's happened now. He's only got 2 Pokemon. Yeah,
definitely. Nathan beginning really, really strong here, since he actually has all of his 4 mons left. He do, of course, has this Hitmontop in the back, which was damaged quite a lot.
Yes, exactly. Hitmontop can always come back in just to maybe get that Fake Out off so it can get up some other damage. But the Kyogre's actually revealing itself, I believe, through Choice Scarf here, going for a huge Water Spout. Is going to pick up the KO on that Lunala thanks to the Shadow Shield being broken. But as you can see, Serena has taken barely any damage and will be able to retaliate with a powerful Power Whip.
Yeah, it's going straight for that Power Whip. You know, Kyogre is such a threat, you don't want to leave it alone. And it's actually just going to be enough to pick up the KO here.
Exactly. And, you know, we're seeing here the Photon Geyser coming out, going straight into Serena. Does do a huge amount of damage. One of these moves that's new to the format. I've never seen it before. But Serena able to hang on. And with Nathan having his Hitmontop in the back and also another Pokemon, I feel like he's going to be able to whittle away at Jonas's Necrozma.
Yeah, I think Nathan has started really, really, really strong here, you know, just taking these KOs left and right.
If it's something like the Incineroar in the back, even though it's raining, he might be able to stall out a little bit of time with something like a Fake Out. He's got the Hitmontop in the back as well, so he could just keep sort of rotating a bit of Fake Out. But actually, interesting enough, it's going to be the Xerneas, and that's a Pokemon that doesn't really want to face down against a Steel type here.
No, definitely not. You know, it doesn't want to really take something like a Sun-Steel Strike.
Certainly doesn't. But if Xerneas can still maybe get up, its Geomancy, maybe survive an attack, it could potentially be able to start whittling away at this, I keep wanting to call it by its nickname, it's so iconic, at the Necrozma. Because it is essentially going to be a 2v1 throughout the whole time. The Necrozma can only really target one of these Pokemon, and I would definitely start going down for that Xerneas. But if Nathan is able to start protecting and calling those correctly, the other Pokemon, the Hitmontop and the Serena, will be able to whittle away at it, including going for this Intimidate here. As it is the Necrozma, not the Solgaleo, Intimidate is actually going to be able to go off.
Yeah, definitely. I think, this Jonas Wiegel maybe have to just go for a little bit more of reads, but we see Xerneas just going for a Geomancy here.
Yeah, doing what it does best.
Yeah, definitely. With his Power Herb, is just such a strong mon. Now being at +2 special attack, special defense, and speed, it's a really big threat, even to a Steel type.
Exactly, and it's going to be the Sunsteel Strike coming out from the Necrozma, going to jump up into the air. Such a powerful attack, and I'm assuming this is going to be going into that Xerneas. If you're Jonas now, you really want to be getting rid of this Pokemon. That's exactly who it targets, but as you can see, it doesn't do enough to pick up the KO.
No, actually, that with the Intimidate, it's just really not doing the damage that it needs to be done.
I think Nathan, having that eject button on the Hitmontops really helped him out here. He managed to preserve it for later in this endgame position to get that Intimidate off, and if you're Jonas, you're really cornered down here.
Yeah, definitely. Hitmontop can just, of course, just go for something like a fake out. But yeah, we do actually see Necrozma going for a protector. Really safe play here. I think it might be just a little bit too late.
It could be, and it'd be interesting to see how much damage the Moonblast does on the next turn, as long as he doesn't maybe get a double protect here. The Electric Train leaving the field, but it wasn't really in effect anymore. There's no spores or electric moves coming out here that we know of.
Definitely not. I'm really interested, how much this Moonblast is actually going to do, because of course Necrozma can, with another Sunsteel Strike, can take down his Xerneas.
Exactly, and that's the thing, the Necrozma is such a good answer to the Xerneas, but Jonas hasn't had enough to weaken the supports for it. If you're sort of in a Xerneas-Necrozma situation in the endgame, you do have the type advantage, but unfortunately you've got Necrozma having to fight off all the different types of Pokemon, and the Helping Hand from Hitmontop is going to boost this Moonblast even more. Going to go straight into that Necrozma. It's going to be painful.
It's definitely going to hurt. It's actually doing just over 50%, and we do actually see going for Photon Geyser into that Hitmontop done. Going
into Hitmontop, which is interesting because now Xerneas, we've seen how much it does with the Helping Hand. If the Serena comes back in, it's able to maybe get off a little bit of damage. The chip, I feel like the Moonblast is going to be able to pick up the KO. And even if this Necrozma does go for Protect, Serena often packs Faint, like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's definitely a possibility, probably why Nathan just kind of kept it in the back here. Just make sure maybe in the end, I can actually just go for a Faint and Moonblast, and it should probably be enough to pick up the KO here.
Of course, and I'm just looking at their teams now, trying to see what Jonas could maybe have done differently, or if any of his other Pokemon were going to be viable. Unfortunately, the Hitmontop on his side, if you look at sort of Nathan's team, he's brought predominantly special attackers. The Hitmontop doesn't really mind being intimidated itself. It's been more of a support Pokemon, but potentially could have brought the Ludicolo with his Kyogre. The Xerneas managing to pick up the KO, and Nathan will actually be 1-0 in this round 6 set.
Yeah, well, this game is really interesting. I think Nathan just taking these KOs really quick just put Jonas in such a difficult position, because he was very quick just to 2 months left, and then there's no way to recycle any fake outs or switch out or just do anything at this point. And Nathan was just really smart, playing it really safe, just making sure his Xerneas was set up to eventually beat this Necrozma.
Of course, and the Serena as well. I think that was a really great pick on Nathan's side. Not only did it sort of limit Jonas's fake out, he kept 2 of his fake out users on the bench, but even if he chosen to bring them, it kind of puts that threat. Often when you have fake out on your Pokemon, it is there purely to help support with the rest of your team. And if you know there's a Serena on the field that you maybe can't take down so well, you're definitely going to struggle with it. As well, Serena is going to be a hard Pokemon for him to take down unless he's going for something like Ice Beams with his Kyogre, or even the Ludicolo, or maybe getting some Flare Blitzes off with the Incineroar. Even then, he needs that out of rain. Otherwise, this Serena, we've already seen how much damage that Power Whip did.
It did so much damage. Maybe, Jonas can switch it up and maybe go for something like the Ludicolo, just to put a little bit more offensive threat.
Yeah, definitely. The Ludicolo and Kyogre could be a really great lead, particularly if the Lunala comes out again, although you can't fake it out. If you're able to maybe get some strong damage off against it and break that Shadow Shield early and then still be in a position to get off some more damage with your Choice Scarf Kyogre, for example, as long as you don't get KO'd by maybe a fake out Moongeist Beam, you might be in a better position to start sweeping through, because those Choice Specs Moongeist Beams are really powerful.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to see Kyogre Ludicolo, just because in Swift Swim it is of course going to outspeed that Hitmontop. And I think just Nathan's Hitmontop being faster than the Incineroar just gave him like so much pressure.
Exactly. Once you know your speeds on it, you kind of have to second guess yourself a little bit or step back and reevaluate what's going on. But as well, I think getting rid of that Lunala is going to be sort of key for Jonas, because he just didn't KO it quick enough, in my opinion. He had the Incineroar on the field as well. If he'd gone for something like knockoffs, he could have maybe negated some of the damage that was coming out. But these players are ready. At the end of the day, Jonas here, he is fighting for his place in top cut tomorrow. He needs to get the next 2 games as victories for him. Otherwise, he's going to have to keep fighting out.
Yeah, definitely, losing game 1 doesn't mean anything. I mean, maybe he just has a really good game plan now for that. He just knows a little bit more about Nathan's team. And we are actually going to see that Ludicolo and Kyogre lead. And Nathan just decides to go for that Hitmontop Lunala lead again.
Yeah, sticking with the Hitmontop Lunala. He knows he's got fake out, but so does Jonas on the other side of the field. He has gone for that classic duo of the Kyogre and the Ludicolo. The happy little pineapple, having a little dance. It's happy to be here. But ultimately, yes, it does have the faster fake out. But if Nathan wants to maybe switch out his Hitmontop for that Serena in the back, then that fake out's going to be to no avail. So it does come down to the call about whether Jonas is maybe going to go for the fake out, or is he going to go for an offensive move, but Hitmontop then stays in and goes for the fake out. It's all going to be calls, and I think a lot of this comes down to maybe reading the player a little bit as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think of course this Kyogre is probably just going to go for a Bubble Water Spout, even with Shadow Shield. Eventually, it is any damage on that Lunala is probably going to be important, because if he breaks that Shadow Shield, next turn he can go for a something like knockoff in the Incineroar, or at least later in game. We do actually see the Hitmontop going for Helping Hand, kind of avoiding that the fake out. Yeah, that's really smart play from Nathan here. And of course, he also has another free switch here now, because the eject button did activate, and he's now just free to bring in Serena here. That was such a smart play.
This is also quite a scary turn, because if this Lunala, thanks to the Shadow Shield being intact, is going to survive this Water Spout, it's going to get off a Helping Hand Moongeist Beam.
Yeah.
This is going to be so strong. If this is going into that Kyogre, I think it's going to just take it off the field. Lunala jumping right up into the sky here. But I love that play there with the Helping Hand. Just no fear from Nathan. And it does a huge amount of damage, does pick up the KO, and straight away Nathan's got rid of that Kyogre.
Yeah, I think it was such a great play for him. Him just realizing, I don't have the faster fake out, but I'm just going to go for Helping Hand.
Yeah.
Don't care about the
going for the fake out. But the thing I loved about it with the Hitmontop is it still made that Pokemon relevant in that turn. It didn't just switch out, and it didn't just go for a potential fake out where it could have been fake outed beforehand. Yeah. It actually was of use to that turn and to such great strength. So yes, Jonas has managed to now switch in his own Incineroar, but fake out is not going to go off anywhere thanks to that Serena on the field, and thanks to the rain that its partner Kyogre set up. Flareblitz is not going to be doing too much to Serena either.
No, I think this Incineroar probably just needs to take care of this Lunala here, but he also really has to worry about something like the high jump kick from its Arena.
Of course, it has been intimidated, but that high jump kick's still going to do a lot of damage as long as it does connect. Again, it's one of those moves that's a little bit stressful to click, and gravity can't even help out. You won't be able to jump up at all. But Lunala actually switching out. Nathan, knowing he needs to preserve this powerful Pokemon for later on, and Hitmontop's going to jump out, getting off another Intimidate here. Going into that Incineroar, which is going to be crucial, particularly if he wants to start targeting down that Serena.
Yeah, we do see the Ludicolo going for a really big Hydro Pump here in the rain.
Oh, it does lots.
It does lots of damage. Actually, Life Orb even is just living on with at least 14 HP here. And we see Serena actually going for a U-turn. Yeah, that's still, even though it was a switching move, it does so much to Ludicolo.
Yeah, even with the Intimidate. But I love that play by Nathan, because the Serena is going to be crucial to dealing out damage with the high jump kick, like you mentioned, Romy. And I think getting the U-turn off, putting it in the back so it can come out again unintimidated by that Incineroar is going to be crucial later on in the game.
Yeah, we are going to see Nathan's last Pokemon, which is going to be the Turnius.
Yeah, I love this Pokemon choice here. There's no Necrozma on the field at the moment. I might have spoken too soon. Incineroar going for that U-turn. So if Necrozma's in the back for Jonas, I think now is definitely the time to bring it out.
Yeah, I think as well. I think he definitely brought in Necrozma. Just even though he didn't win with it in game 1, I think it was still really important.
And if he can support it a little bit better with this Ludicolo, like we've just seen how much damage that Hydro Pump did, the Life Orb really helping it out here. It could potentially put him in such a good position if he's able to help out. Like, yes, Xerneas is going to deal a lot of damage to the Necrozma, but if the Necrozma is able to hit on the defensive side of Xerneas, those boosts are not going to matter at all.
No, Xerneas is now not even boosted. He has to make sure that they actually first get the Geomancy off.
Yes, definitely. You want to be able to get that move off. And something like a Hydro Pump in rain, when it doesn't have a special defense boost, is going to really whittle it down. So that even if it does get the boost off, something like that Sunsteel Strike is going to be able to pick up the KO.
Yeah, and maybe actually Jonas maybe wants to double into this, and maybe, Nathan, of course, he has the option to protect. I think Jonas is kind of in a difficult position here.
Yeah, if the Xerneas protects, like Hitmontop really isn't doing too much. So if I was Nathan, I'd probably want to just get it out of there so that you can bring it back in and fake out later on in the game. But of course, it gets fake out now.
Yeah.
Going to go into that Necrozma, not deal not much damage at all, but it's going to stop it from attacking into that Xerneas. Hitmontop actually going to be KO'd. Jonas not potentially going for a freeze or anything onto that Xerneas. Just wants to get rid of the Hitmontop. Does stop it coming in for fake out later on. And as you can see on Nathan's team, he hasn't brought that Incineroar, so he doesn't have to worry about fake out later on.
No, that's really good. But, just this Xerneas getting off this Geomancy. From Jonas, maybe just expecting the Xerneas to protect her, since Hitmontop wasn't such a big of a threat, but Nathan was just like, no, I'm going to get this Geomancy off here.
Exactly, particularly as that Hitmontop still did have the fake out, so you could kind of have the support to get the Geomancy up.
Yep.
And now Nathan's going to be able to bring in another Pokemon to help him out even more, and it's going to be that Lunala. Two Pokemon that are now specially attacked to the max. Well, not quite to the max, but you know what I mean. Very, very strong Pokemon here. You've got the Choice Specs Lunala and the boosted Xerneas. Like, I would be scared if I was on Jonas' team right now.
I would be really, really scared if I would be facing down a boosted Xerneas and a Lunala, because at this point Lunala can probably just take out the Necrozma here.
Exactly. This is the beauty of these two Pokemon on the field. So the Xerneas is threatened by Necrozma, but Necrozma is threatened by the Xerneas. And Ludicolo is just getting out of there.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe he just wants to recycle the fake out for later. And we do actually see just Incineroar hitting the field here, because I think he really, really needs to do anything to this Lunala.
Of course, but the thing is, even though the fake out Jonas could have that next turn, the Xerneas can just protect, and fake out can't affect the Lunala anyway. Seeing as the Necrozma is just protected, you can get that powerful Moongeist Beam off next on that turn. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Jonas potentially in the next turn switch out that Necrozma and bring back in that Ludicolo just to sack it off so that he can get the knockoff from that Incineroar.
Yeah, I think it's just really, really important that Jonas just makes sure that Lunala died, but at the same time, he's also facing that boosted Xerneas.
It's going to be tricky with this Incineroar right now, because you can see how much damage that Dazzling Gleam did. He could potentially go for the fake out, or predict that Nathan is going to think that the fake out's coming its way, protect the Xerneas, and that leaves him free to maybe get a knockoff into that Lunala. Like, a lot of this game has been sort of 50-50 decisions here, and you have to think which is going to be more likely from your opponent.
Yeah, those plays are really, really hard, because, both plays make a lot of sense. They're just kind of going about reading. Maybe Jonas wants to at some point go for something like a double protect, because he's in a really tough position here. And Xerneas decides to just not protect, and we do see Incineroar going for the fake out, and Lunala is just going for this big Moongeist Beam.
Yeah, this is going to be super powerful. Doesn't get the helping hand boost this time, but will still be dealing out a huge amount of damage. And I was going to say with Nathan as well, doesn't quite pick up the KO, but Nathan's been playing so boldly throughout this game. He hasn't been playing defensively, so I think not going for the protect there, potentially Jonas could have called that. Revealing the berry on the Necrozma though, and the Trick Room. So that actually does turn things on his head a little bit.
Definitely. I think it was a really smart play from Jonas here, setting up this Trick Room, because he's now has then the two fastest mons on the field, and he can very simply just go for knockoff into that Lunala and a Sunsteel Strike into that Xerneas.
Exactly, and he must have known that the Choice Specs Moongeist Beam wasn't going to be able to pick up the KO. But, it sort of shows how well he's trained his Pokemon. He knew it wouldn't pick up the KO, but also would put it into berry range. So he's now set up Trick Room. He's in an environment his Necrozma wants to be in, and also his Incineroar. The rain is no longer on the field, so Incineroar is able to start firing off some Fire-type attacks if it wants to later for Serena in the back for Nathan. But he's just able to put himself in such a good position, getting that health back up as well.
Yeah, definitely. Jonas Wiegel was in such a tough position last turn, and now he's actually looking pretty great.
He certainly is. He switches, for Nathan, switches out the Lunala. Definitely a Pokemon he wants to preserve as the Serena does jump in. Knockoff comes out though, so good prediction there by Nathan, knowing that that was going to be the target for his Lunala. A Sunsteel Strike comes out from the Necrozma, so this I am sure is going to be going into that Xerneas. But as we've seen, Xerneas is able to deal back sort of probably about a third of damage maybe without getting the Helping Hand boost.
Yeah, definitely. And it's actually living on 2 HP, and it does have a chance to like fire off with this big Moonblast. With this chip damages on this Incineroar, it's going to be more than enough to take up the KO here.
Exactly, that Xerneas easily picking up the KO against Incineroar, but I'm concerned how he's going to get through this Necrozma at the moment. Xerneas obviously doesn't really want to be in Trick Room at all after it's got all the boosts. And now you've got Ludicolo. Again, a Pokemon that wouldn't necessarily normally like Trick Room if it's in the rain. It's out of the rain now. It can't go for Fake Out or any priority moves, but it's going to still be slower than that Xerneas.
Yeah, I think it was a really smart play from Jonas, just like switching out this Ludicolo later.
Yes.
He was probably just making sure that like, okay, I need to get this Trick Room off, and then I can just use this Ludicolo in the end.
Exactly, and if you just look at Jonas's position here at the minute, the Necrozma is at such high health, and all of Nathan's Pokemon are really, really low. I mean, Xerneas is there only on 2 hit points, and Serena, it's had its Assault Vest knocked off as well, so it's going to be taking a lot more damage from things like Ice Beam, from that Ludicolo as well. So I feel like unless Nathan's able to somehow magically stall out all of these Trick Room turns, Jonas could be taking this to a Game 3.
Yeah, definitely. I think Nathan just really, for Game 3, needs to make sure that Jonas doesn't get up this Trick Room, because he was in such a good position and now he's in a really bad position. Just in one turn of Jonas Wiegel just clicking Trick Room.
Exactly, we've seen that so often in this tournament already, particularly in Fezzi's game. That one turn with the Water Spout in Game 1 absolutely turned the board on its head, and that's something we've seen really similar happen here again. Nathan down to his last remaining Pokemon, that Lunala. We know it's Choice Specs, it can't protect or anything like that. Can potentially go for another Moongeist Beam into that Necrozma, which I believe will easily pick up the KO, but its Shadow Shield is broken, so anything really coming out from both these Pokemon are going to be able to whittle away at it.
Yeah, definitely. I think Nathan really needs to start thinking, okay, how do I stop this Trick Room?
I think almost, like if you were Nathan, I feel like he thought that Moongeist Beam was going to be able to KO, but I feel like he needs the Helping Hand next time. At least he knows, and he can go into it in the next game. But Sunsteel Strike coming out from the Necrozma, going to deal a good amount of damage, and Grass Knot, I believe, should be enough to pick up the KO here.
Yeah, it is going to pick up the KO here on this Lunala. I think Jonas Wiegel is just really realizing, okay, I need to get Trick Room up, and he knew that he could live a Moongeist Beam just as long as it didn't have a Helping Hand.
Exactly, so or a little critical hit.
Yeah, so I think it was really smart just taking down his Hitmontop, just making sure that, okay, I can get this Trick Room up. And then you can really see that, like, this player is really, really good. He has done really well before.
Certainly, and he knows what's at stake as well. Like we've said before, this is his sort of winning in game kind of, you know, if he gets this, he's top cut. And he wants to be able to get that early on in the day. Like, you know, it's very late already. We've played 6 rounds and you have 2 more to go. But the other thing I loved about that Trick Room play, not only was it clearly the win con for him, but if you take a look at Nathan's team, he has that Stack Attacker, which is one of his Trick Room Pokemon. That really isn't that threatening against most of Jonas's team. Things like the Ludicolo and the Kyogre can threaten it much more than it can threaten it back in return.
Yeah, definitely. So even if Nathan decides to bring Stack Attacker here, I'm not sure I'm really going to be able to do that much.
Exactly. So Jonas isn't going to fear setting up that Trick Room at all. It's always going to be in his advantage one way or another.
Yeah, so I think Nathan just really has to come up with a way, okay, I need to make sure that I can stop Trick Room.
Exactly. And I think if you're Nathan as well, getting up your Xerneas is obviously one of the main keys you want to do. That's why you have Xerneas. You want to get it boosted and you want to get it in a good position. But that Necrozma really does manage to shut it down. We saw how much damage that Sunsteel Strike did at the end there, and it took it down to only 2 hit points. A roll either way that could have easily picked up the KO.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm really interested in what Nathan actually has to stop Trick Room, because I think every team usually runs something, because if you don't respect it, it's going to be a really big threat to your team.
Exactly, and it lasts longer than Tailwind. So it's one of those things, like Tailwind's like the speed boosting move that you can go for, but it doesn't last as long as Trick Room.
No.
And it obviously affects the whole field as well.
It's of course a little bit harder to get Trick Room up since you're always the last one to move, like compared to Tailwind, which just goes in normal speed order.
but it can be such a great strategy, particularly if you manage to pull it off successfully. But it looks like Jonas is actually going to stick with the Kyogre and the Ludicolo here. It did do him great success in that game too, whereas Hitmontop and Lunala once again coming out for Nathan, so he's really sticking with this lead.
Yeah, I think he maybe just knows what he wants to do here. And we actually saw, the Helping Hand Moongeist Beam KO this Kyogre in the last game, so I'm really interested if he maybe wants to go for that again. And if it's Kyogre, maybe he's just going to switch out.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you're Nathan, you can easily go for that play again. But Jonas, you're either going to have to read whether that is what Nathan's going to go for. And if so, you could switch out. But even so, a Helping Hand Moongeist Beam is going to do a huge amount of damage to a lot of the Pokemon on his team. Obviously, he doesn't want to switch his Necrozma to that. I think that might be a little bit foolhardy. But potentially Incineroar could be a good switch in there. It should be able to take the Moongeist Beam. We'll then be able to threaten with the knockoff in the next turn, and also we'll have the Fake Out Pressure advantage on his side.
Yeah, I think Kyogre is very likely to switch into Incineroar here. And we actually are just going to see Hitmontop go for a Fake Out here, and Ludicolo is just going for the Hydro Pump here into this Lunala.
Yeah, going to do a huge amount of damage in the rain there, breaking the Shadow Shield as Moongeist Beam comes out from the Lunala. Interesting there, going for the Fake Out with that Hitmontop. Very brave knowing that you would underspeed, so either you would maybe not get the Fake Out at all, but actually the Moongeist Beam is enough to pick up the KO against that Ludicolo.
Yeah, I think Nathan maybe just predicted that he was gonna switch the Kyogre out, but just wanting to make sure if he maybe didn't, just to fake it out.
But he also knew that Ludicolo wasn't going to go for the Fake Out, because if you're Hitmontop, you know that Lunala can't be hit with Fake Out, so maybe the Hitmontop would take it so that it couldn't get its Fake Out off, get a powerful Water Spout off. But no, that's exactly not what happened here. It was the Fake Out into Kyogre.
Because I think, what happened last game is, he went into the Fake Out into a Hitmontop, and he just got a free switch into that Tsarina. So I think it was a really smart play from Jonas Wiegel. Just leave this Hitmontop alone for now. It's not really that big of a threat.
And also Nathan could have the Serena in the back, and if you're going to go for Fake Out, it's a wasted turn if you see that Grass-type Pokemon jump into the field. But Lunala, it does have its Shadow Shield broken here, so it has to worry about taking what would still be a really powerful Water Spout from this Kyogre.
Yeah, and of course it also has to worry about the knockoff from Incineroar potentially if it decides to not go for Fake Out.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Lunala switch out here. Maybe bring in the Serena. It should be able to take, with the Assault Vest now back on it as we are in Game 3, it should be able to take Water-type moves very easily. And of course, any Flare Blitz is coming out, well, it's in the rain. I don't think Incineroar is going to be doing that at all. But it's actually, going to be the Serena jumping in here.
Yeah, I think that's like the best play that it actually had. And we are actually just going to see a pure Scald here into that Serena.
Yeah, trying to maybe get the burn so those Power Whips don't do as much damage. And it does.
It does actually get the burn here. And we do see Hitmontop going for a close combat. Here you just really see that it's just a very supportive Mon.
Exactly. The Incineroar there, though, with the Intimidate really paying off against that Hitmontop. The close combat not doing as much as Hitmontop would have liked, but it does manage to activate that eject button, and it's going to shoot right back to his trainer.
Yeah, so I'm really interested in what the hex actually brought as his fourth Mon if he just went for Xerneas again.
Could potentially have gone for it. I don't feel like the stack attacker is going to be coming in, but potentially you might want that Incineroar just for the Fake Out and the knockoff, maybe just to knock off the Choice Scarf potentially from the Kyogre, maybe knock off the Life Orb from that Ludicolo. We saw how much damage the Hydro Pump did in the rain. And of course, knockoff still very super effective against that Ludicolo, but to be honest, that's already left the field. So if Incineroar is in the back for that purpose, it's kind of missed the boat there a little bit.
Yeah, I think as well, he did actually bring the Incineroar here. He just decided to leave Xerneas at home then.
Yeah, Xerneas, I think he knew that Necrozma was too much trouble for him, and maybe he didn't want to waste time setting it up just to have it KO'd. But this is going to be applying a lot of pressure against that Kyogre, and interestingly enough as well, I believe that was a U-turn that went into the eject button, wasn't it?
Yes.
And Incineroar hasn't switched out.
Nope.
So
that's one of the mechanics eject button has.
It's a very useful item on that Hitmontop right now.
Yeah, definitely. Just make sure that Incineroar stays in, and he's now just able to get off another Fake Out, and maybe just try to get this Kyogre down.
Of course, and leaving that Incineroar in as well. Obviously, it's now taken an Intimidate from Nathan's own Incineroar, and it stopped him getting the free switch into something potentially like that Necrozma that could come in. But now knowing that there is no Xerneas on Nathan's side, actually once the rain maybe leaves the field, this Incineroar on Nathan's side could be dealing some good damage to the Necrozma. But first of all, it's going to have to take a Scald from that Kyogre, and it will pick up the one-hit KO.
Yeah, he decided to not go for a Fake Out, and this is actually just going to, the Scald is more than enough to pick up the KO, and this burnt Serena, yeah, it
still does a lot.
It still does a lot, but it really doesn't do the damage that it should do here, because now this Kyogre can go for another Scald, and we did actually see that in rain, it still did quite a lot of damage to that Serena.
Exactly, and getting the burn on that Serena was so critical. Although it still did a lot of damage, at that point, if you're Nathan, you want to pick up the KOs.
Yeah.
You can't afford to keep these Choice Scarf Pokemon on the field, and then a Crozma is going to jump right back in at the moment. Now that the Incineroar is gone, yes, you do still have the Lunala, but I feel like if that Serena hasn't been burnt, you would have picked up the KO against that Kyogre, got rid of that Choice Scarf threat that can still deal so much damage. The Scald and Rain is going to be huge, and if you get the burn, yes, it won't affect the damage output of Lunala, but you can chip away at it easily enough.
Yeah, you know, even it's going to take a little bit more of that burn, that damage every turn. And the burn on Serena just mattered so much here, and it put Jonas in such a good position here, because he can go for another Scald here.
Exactly, and it's going to be interesting as well. Jonas has got the Incineroar in the back. Nathan has got the Hitmontop in the back. It's going to be a little bit of an Intimidate war there, but I feel like he's preserving the Hitmontop purely for that Incineroar. We've seen it has close combat. If it hadn't taken that Intimidate before when it went into Incineroar previously, it would have done a lot more damage, potentially would have been the 2-hit KO. So I feel like he's needing that because Lunala and Serena really can't touch the Incineroar. So out of the Jonas's remaining Pokemon, these are the two that it wants to be facing against.
Yeah, definitely. We do see Kyogre just going for a Scald into this Lunala. It's actually
Oh.
living at 5 HP, but it is going to get another burn, which means this Lunala is only going to be able to get off this Moonguy's Beam, and it's going to die to burn damage.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be KO'd by the burn at the end of the turn, but the Moonguy's Beam going to go into the Crozma with a critical hit. Oh my gosh, Jonas looking so disappointed there, but Nathan needed that from the Lunala 100%. The U-turn, though, very interesting there from Nathan. Not going to be picking up the KO against that Kyogre, but now we'll give him the opportunity to bring in the Hitmontop again. When Lunala gets KO'd, Serena will come back onto the field unintimidated by the Incineroar. Incineroar is going to have to come in anyway on Jonas' side, but at least it resets it for when it does.
Yeah, I think that that critical hit on the Crozma was really big here.
It certainly was. We've already seen that manages to survive. So Jonas, I think, would have been making his plays with the mind that he was going to be living that. But that's just Pokemon. Sometimes it happens.
Yeah, definitely. But it's always like, you can't always be like, okay, what if I get critted? Because sometimes there's just such good plays that, you know, there's 1 in 24 chance. You have to take it.
Exactly. And Nathan as well. Like, they're both down to their last 2 remaining Pokemon. But the difference here is Nathan has a Pokemon that can actually use Fake Out. The Incineroar here cannot while Serena is on the field, protecting both of his Pokemon here. So although the Kyogre is locked into Scald, if you can maybe go for the Fake Out into it and then Serena go for the high jump kick into the Incineroar, depending on how much the Intimidate and Burn's going to do, if he gets another critical hit, who knows?
Yeah, I think it's definitely probably going to just be a roll. And I think, you know, Nathan kind of just has to go for the play and just hope this high jump kick is going to be enough to pick up the KO on Incineroar.
Or you could just go for the Fake Out into the Kyogre, pick up the KO against Kyogre, because at the end of the day, it's locked into Scald.
Definitely.
And that's a move you don't want to be firing out in the rain. Going for the U-turn, it is going to go into that Kyogre, so now it is just going to be Incineroar against both of these Pokemon that both have fighting type moves. But it is just going to be whether the Incineroar is able to pick up the KO against them before they can get that move into them. It goes into the Hitmontop, interestingly enough, in the rain.
Yeah, I think because he, of course, knew that the Hitmontop is going to be able to fire off a close combat and is faster, he just kind of had to hope the Flare Blitz was enough to pick up the KO here.
Thing is, though, with the Flare Blitz, that recoils put it down into the yellow. So potentially, I mean, we saw how much damage the close combat did previously. It took it down just above after taking an Intimidate.
Intimidated, of course.
It was, and it's intimidated again now. So it could potentially, with the right roll, pick up the KO here, particularly with Serena getting off the damage first, chipping away at it. But the Flare Blitz, oh, no, it's not even going to be a Flare Blitz. It's going to be the close combat. And actually, Nathan is going to be able to pick up this game.
Yeah, the critical hit on an Crozma,
everything.
That changed the whole game. And I think Jonas Wiegel is going to be really, really bummed out about this.
Yeah,
because
he's definitely disappointed.
He won game 2 so confidently, and I think he just went into game 3 with like the same game plan here. But yeah, his Necrozma wasn't able to live.
No, and he was definitely in a good position. He had his Necrozma there. He knew he had, trained it to be able to survive that. And when it didn't, it can be so heartbreaking as well, particularly when it's one of your restricted. That's the sort of joy of these formats with restricted Pokemon, they could be so great in terms of offensive pressure, but when you lose one, it can really sway the game into your opponent's favor.
Yeah, it's definitely because, most of the team are just like, okay, we have 2 restrictive mons and like 2 supportive mons, and usually kind of 2 is kind of a little bit in the middle.
Yeah, a bit of weather.
Yeah, exactly. A bit of weather. Like, of course, the Ludicolo, is really paired well with the Kyogre and the Tapu Koko. Of course, with the terrain and just how fast it is, it's still a really, really good mon.
And I think as well, the Serena was crucial there. Even with the burn, it was getting enough damage to put it in range of something else or just keep whittling away. And I think most crucially, that Queenly Majesty ability really was showcased well in this game. It put Jonas on the back foot where he couldn't get the fake out advantage.
Yeah, and the fake out is such a good move because you can just make sure, okay, I'm just going to ignore this mon for one turn and I'm just going to deal with it next turn. And you can just, especially because it is with restricted formats, if you can just have a fake out next to a restricted mon, you can do so much damage.
You certainly can. Well, we're going to see if there is time for a quick interview. So don't go anywhere, trainers. We'll either be back with an interview with our round 6 winner or we'll be back with round 7 very soon. So don't go anywhere. Hello trainers, welcome back. I'm joined by our round 6 winner. Congratulations, that was an amazing game. What were you thinking going into team preview? Because you have Serena, he has 3 fake out users.
In fact, I think that the matchup was about Kyogre and Necrozma Dustmane. I think it's a 50-50 matchup. I could win, but it's pretty difficult. I think that it's pretty much the same for my opponent. And effectively, I was happy to have Serena in my team since it can block fake out.
Yes.
But in fact, it was more useful to deal with his Kyogre and dealing damage with high jump kick because my main attacker for that match was going to be Lunala. So he wasn't affected by fake out. So Serena has more an offensive role than a supportive role, I think. This match.
We were looking through team preview and Serena soon became our favorite Pokemon. Its ability is amazing, but even when it was burnt, it did so much damage to Kyogre still.
Yes.
It's such a great Pokemon. What made you pick it? Have you been looking at it for a while?
I chose Serena because my team was struggling against Kyogre and Ludicolo, and Serena could actually U-turn onto Ludicolo to deal super effective damage and can power wipe onto Kyogre to get a one-hit KO if it's a Scarf and no bulky Kyogre, or deal really good damage if it's a bulky Kyogre.
That was the thing. In game 1, he didn't bring the Ludicolo. He had Kyogre, but no Ludicolo. Did you think he was bringing it in game 2? Because he led with it. What were you thinking then when you saw it?
I think that I actually didn't thought that he would bring Kyogre and Ludicolo, but I think that I would have led with the same thing because it's a pretty even matchup. So I was fine with this, and I had to lead with Lunala if I want to have an answer to his Necrozma Dustmane.
Yes, that Pokemon gave Rosanius quite a lot of trouble.
Yes.
It can be so powerful, but the other Pokemon that was so great was your Lunala. Such a strong Pokemon with its ability, of course, but there was that turn where you led Hitmontop and Lunala, and you went for the helping hand.
Yes.
What was going through your mind?
In fact, I already played a Kyogre and a Ludicolo in that round, and basically I have to play. I can fake out Kyogre, and it's pretty much a safe play, or I can Helping Hand and Moongate him to kill that Kyogre. And I thought that because I won the first match, he would play more defensively, so fake out Hitmontop just to be sure.
Yeah.
So I went for Helping Hand and Moongate him, and finally I get the kill onto Kyogre.
It went perfectly that turn, and Hitmontop even ejects into the back. It all went so well. But obviously, you're now 5-1 in the tournament. What are your goals for this season? Are you planning to travel around Europe a little bit, or just see what happens in the season?
I think that I'm going to travel in Europe. I already plan to go to Lille in France.
Oh, perfect, yeah. You might as well.
Yes. And I should also go to other regionals like previous years.
Yeah, no, of course. And start getting more of that CP on the ladder, and hopefully you get to your World invite later in the year. But just before we end the interview, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to, say thanks to, or anything like that while you're on stream?
I would like to thank my parents because they are traveling with me to Pokemon since I'm 10. And I also would like to thank Alban Badin. which is a French friend, the Megathorn, because he really likes Hitmontop, and he suggests me to use it, and finally it's fit really well in my team, so I'm pretty happy about it.
We thought it was funny how you both had Hitmontop as well.
Yes.
Like, it's such a rare Pokemon, but they were both there. But thank you so much, and congratulations again, and good luck in the rest of the tournament.
Thanks.
Don't go anywhere, trainers. We'll be at round 7 very, very soon.